Got to talk about the money. The UAW is now mad at Stellantis about layoffs. Check it out.
And right now, Stellantis workers and union leaders are concerned about the future of the automaker. This comes as the company recently announced another 1,000 employees will be laid off at its Toledo plant. I'm going to read the
Cash Apps
to Vici spoke to union members and automotive experts and brings us more on what they think is behind the struggles at the company.
Yes, union members and local union leadership here at Stellantis say they are beyond frustrated with the company's recent struggles and say they don't understand it. As you just mentioned, another 1,000 employees laid off in Toledo. We're now approaching 4,000 layoffs just this fall. They say they're simply not buying the claim that it's all due to poor market conditions. They believe this is a case of bad management.
It is. Let me tell you something. There are cars sitting on the lot. When I bought my Hellcat, because I just recently bought a Hellcat, I think within a month. Yeah, less than a month ago. So I bought a Challenger Hellcat 2023. When I went to the dealership to look at it and then ultimately make the payment and all of that stuff, and then they had, because I did it on a Saturday, at the end of a Saturday. And they was like, oh, well, give us a time to get it together. We're going to wash it and all of that. And it was on the showroom floor, right? And they had to come and, basically pull up the trickle charger to be able to charge the battery, to be able to start it up because it had been sitting so long. Now, remember, this is a 2023, last call, final edition, right? Jailbreak Hellcat. And I said, man, has it been sitting on the floor that long? They said, yeah. They said, well, number one, people can't afford anything. Number two, interest rates is real bad. And number three, we having trouble moving product. Flat out. It was a 2023. We're about to go into 2025, which means that usually in 2025, they release the 2026 models. So I have been seeing reports because I follow all automotive channels. I look at the designs and new concepts, what's selling, what's sitting on dealership lots. And I will tell you, it's not just Stellantis, but it's automakers across the board. They have cars that are sitting on the lot sometimes of up to 500 days. Now, what does that mean in the world of automakers? Well, what it means is that they have to then pay interest on those cars because the minute that it leaves the plant floor, the automakers can then record it as a sale, and then that's when they start to account for it on their books. But if you can't move the product out of the dealerships, then the dealerships are going to get mad at you. And not only are the dealerships going to get mad at you, they can't buy more product, the new product, because they still sitting on old product that you've already recorded a sale for because the people can't afford it, and those that can't afford it don't want it. And the people that don't want it, or the people that do want it, are often those that don't qualify to be able to get it. So now they have a backlog of all of these vehicles that cost so much money, partly because the UAW wanted to squeeze. They didn't want to work with the automakers and then take more profit sharing. They wanted to squeeze. Shout out to Sean Fain, and I told y'all that this was going to happen. I warned you. I told you. I said, listen, by the end of this year, by the end of this term, and the people in here that has been here with me for a long time know that I've been saying it. I said, by the end of this presidential term, there's going to be mass layoffs, especially in the automotive and the manufacturing sector, because of what is happening and what the mandates are, and the fact that this president administration is supporting a union leader that is going to drive these automakers out of town, out of bankruptcy, in addition to these mandates and the infrastructure deals that's then incentivizing these EVs and getting rid of ICE internal combustion vehicles because they're not ready yet. So now, instead of the union leadership taking advantage of and taking accountability of what they've created in the industry and the environment that they've created that basically got all of their UAW members laid off. You got your bonus, your signing bonus check, you work for 2 or 3 weeks, now you up out of there. Y'all protest. I said it. I told you. I had a guy that called up here. He said, yeah, man, I'm working for Chrysler. Chrysler is Stellantis. I'm working for Chrysler. I'm a Chrysler worker. We about to buy a Wagoneer. We just got our checks. We balling. I said, dawg, bro, I might have to try to find that. I said, bro, save your money, go to school, don't depend on it because I'm telling you, you're going to be in a world of trouble. Save your money. You are going to be in a world of trouble if you are not saving your money. Dog, we good? Nah, man, I'm telling you this. Oh, okay. All right.
Management's mismanagement, and ultimately it falls on Carlos Tavares for these problems.
Luigi Joykai, Local 51 president and union member at Stellantis, says he believes
See if I can
recent
find it.
struggles at the company are not being caused by market conditions. However, last week, Stellantis did announce the layoffs are due to the poor market conditions.
It's a complete fallacy. How can you cite market conditions when Ford and GM just reported in their fourth quarter, I want to say double-digit
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. He's wrong.
year over profits. So record profits again in the fourth quarter. And here you have Stellantis down, well over 20%. It's not the market, it's mismanagement.
Joykai says roughly 4,000 layoffs in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio are causing a rift among union members because he says the company is waiting to the last minute to notify the union of their plans, making it difficult to communicate what's happening.
And I believe the company is using this tactic to sow discord and dissent among the membership so that we take our eye off the ball and always remember that it is the company's fault.
This is definitely a management problem.
Automotive expert John McElroy says it's bad management and a whole lot more.
The company has got so many products that are so expensive in the market right now. It's been trying to adjust that, bring prices down, add more incentives, throttle back on production. Some of the early signs are a little bit encouraging, but it's got a long way to go.
Moving forward, Joykai says the union is leaving all options on the table to address what's happening at Stellantis.
We're doing everything we can, exploring every avenue through grievances. If we need to strike, that's
Man,
an avenue
I
as
wish
well.
I could find
In
that.
Detroit, Gino Vici, CBS News, Detroit.
Meanwhile, on top of that, they're not the only people that's going through problems. Boeing is also having more layoffs. 700 more employees is being laid off from Boeing. Check it out.
A new wave of layoffs at Boeing is cutting deep, hitting critical positions tonight.
The aerospace company, which employs thousands of people in the metro, announced nearly 700 layoffs in the St. Louis area. Russell Kinsell diving into the decision days before Thanksgiving.
Surprise, gloom, and anger, just some of the reaction to the announcement of the layoffs today. It's no guarantee that it's the last round of layoffs as the company looks to trim 10% of its workforce, or 17,000 workers. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration, but also among politicians and analysts, they are critical of the decision to lay off so many. Boeing employs 16,700 workers in the St. Louis area, assembling F-15 and FA-18 fighter jets and the T-7 trainer. SLU professor of entrepreneurship Jerome Katz says it's surprising the St. Louis region would be targeted for so many cuts when local operations are running smoothly and profitably with government contracts locked into place.
That still is surprising in one sense because we're doing military planes here, and the federal government's got standing orders and they pay their bills on time.
Boeing says the nationwide layoffs are needed because of financial troubles from delays of commercial airline production and a 2-month strike. The number of planned layoffs in the St. Louis area is up to 692, and the layoffs hit a wide variety of jobs, including some critical positions. The positions include assembly mechanics, engineers, financial analysts, managers, and security specialists.
I'm worried that these executives are running a great American company into the ground, and the workers are going to be the ones who pay the price.
Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley has been critical of Boeing management.
And what I've seen from their leadership is a desire to cut corners, to wring every piece of profit out of the company. And if that means they have to lay off workers while they increase pay for executives, they're willing to do it.
I spoke with aviation industry expert Richard Abolafia with Aerodynamics Advisors about the layoffs at Boeing. He says the company has a backlog of orders for planes, more work than it can handle. He told me, quote, they need more workers, not less. And he said, I don't understand their very short-term view that they can cut their way back to health. It's really eye-opening to see the types of engineers that are being laid off. Those who specialize in safety, electronic warfare, and chemical contamination. They will be off the job as of January 17th. Again, no guarantee this is the last round of layoffs here.
And it won't be. I think that there's more layoffs to come. Eric D says no one is paying $100,000 for a Jeep. I seen a $100,000 Jeep inside of the dealership when I was signing my papers. When I was signing my purchase agreement, I seen a 100, I think it had a Hemi inside of it. It was a $100,000 Jeep. I said, this is crazy. Now, as a person that has bought a Jeep before, I thought that it was insane that I had seen $100,000. I didn't know that they sold $100,000 Jeeps inside of The dealership. I didn't. I was not aware that they sold a $100,000 Jeep. But, you know, I'm telling you that there's more to come. There's going to be more layoffs. A lot of people don't believe me. They keep thinking that it's going to be a game out here in these streets. But I'm telling you that there's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing out here in these streets if y'all not aware and you're not getting... Listen. I was telling people this morning on the video that I dropped this morning that you have to basically get multiple different skill sets and always be preparing to go into the next industry. The days of getting a job and thinking that you're going to be there for the duration of your lifetime, that didn't exist prior to my generation. And I'm 42 years old. It didn't exist in the 80s, it didn't exist in the 70s, and it didn't exist in the 90s. Anybody that endured long enough to get 30 years and get a retirement package or get a buyout knows that often at times they would get laid off because the industry is cyclical. And so if you think that nowadays with innovation ramping up the way that it is and there being uncertainty in the markets, if Trump didn't get in, your industry wouldn't be saved in the first place. The steel industry, Russians had already started trying to buy up the steel industry. Japanese and Chinese automakers are now trying to infiltrate into the steel industry. They were dumping cheap, defective steel inside of the United States of America. And if you go over to Gary, Indiana, or Pittsburgh, or any of these places, you can see that these companies are but a shell of what they used to be. And so the workers that are there are just trying to hold on. You're not getting out of high school and just getting a job and being able to run up a bag for the rest of your life, especially with this economy and inflation and the way that things are set up. And you're going to have to develop a skill set that people want. It's not just about getting workers. It's not about just doing jobs. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think that the majority of people out here are lazy in the first place. As a person that has worked on both sides, corporate, small business, employer, employee, the whole gamut. I done been there, been back, low jobs, high jobs, business owner, hire people, worked in different industries, opened different businesses. I'm telling you that good help is the hardest thing to find. You have a harder time vetting for a good employee than you get a good woman. It is much more difficult to find a good employee than a good chick that'll bust it down for a real one and keep your peace. You have a better chance of finding a woman that's going to hold it down and keep your peace than you are finding a good employee. The only difference is it's easier to fire a good employee, but it's expensive because the turnover rate and the training and the time and all of that stuff. And that's why I'm very, very careful. I'm taking my time and I'm vetting out people and I'm trying, because you can't gauge work ethic. Work ethic doesn't show necessarily inside of an interview. Work ethic don't show inside of your resume. That's why I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the videos. I'm looking at the effort. I'm looking at people's social media. I'm evaluating whether or not people were able to follow directions. I gave a clear-cut mandate. Gave clear-cut mandates of what I was looking for, what the job was. And I'm gonna be honest with you. When I put out the job descriptions and stuff like that, and I got other positions that I'm hiring for, but I'm building this out slowly because I want to vet the right people that's actually gonna do the jobs. Couple different things that I did. I undersold the position. So what I did was, for example, I made it seem harder than it really is. So I'll give you an example. Because I don't care. I'm transparent. One of the things I said is, well, you're going to have to do thumbnails and editing. And people are like, oh man, that's a lot. That'd take you all day. Well, not really, because I've set up systems in place to where I can have consistency and there will be no difference from if you were to join or if you not were to join. You see what I'm saying? I want people that are prolific in being able to use Photoshop and the Adobe Creative Cloud. However, I ask for those positions because I want people to be innovative, meaning that I want you to at some point be innovative enough and inspired enough to introduce new things into it. But the only way that you can do that is to be proficient in the software itself. However, the actual process of making a thumbnail of how I set it up as a system will take you less than 2 to 3 minutes per thumbnail. At max, 5 minutes per thumbnail. Because I've already set the templates in place. I've already set the things in place. editing the video the way that we have it set it up, editing, thumbnail, everything, it shouldn't take you any more than 8 to 9 minutes. We get them done just like that. We get them done just like that because as a businessman, I have to put systems in place that ensure that we can be consistent in how we deliver a product. But I didn't tell you that inside of the job description. Why? Because I want to filter out the lazy mother effers that don't want to do anything, and they want to focus on how they can get a bag instead of focusing on how they can add value. So the expectation of a person that then is proficient in this software, they would then say, hey, Anton, listen, I know that this is what you got going on, but let me show you what I put together, you know what I'm saying, outside of that, and tell me what you think about this. Those are the type of people that I want to be around. I don't want to be around somebody that I always got to babysit. I want to be around somebody that can stimulate growth in the company, and then they can come through and say, you know what? What if you did it like this? Or what if we simplified it like this? Or we can do this much faster, or this is much better looking, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? I want innovative people, but I'm not going to tell you that. I have to vet through the people that actually want to be there. So when I went through the comments or I went through people and they say, oh man, it's not. It's not. I can do it all myself. I don't need anybody to do anything. What I'm looking for is somebody to free up my time so that I can go and get bigger bags and I can focus on the sales process. I can focus on adding more value. I can focus on creating better templates. I can do more things that allow for me to build a better team, to run up a bigger bag and to be more proficient, start up the channels and things like that. But I can't tell people that. I can't tell people that because I got to filter through the dusties. And it's similar to a woman. If you meet a woman, you don't go and say, hey, listen, if you get with me, I'm going to take care of your every need. I'm going to pay for everything because that's what men do. No, you go to her and you undersell yourself and you say, yeah, man, you know, I don't even make that much money. And, you know, I'm just a regular person like everybody else, but I'm looking for somebody that actually got good character and is going to go to church with me or whatever like that. The other stuff come with it, but you don't lead with it because you don't want them to be there for the wrong reasons. You're trying to vet through for a person that's actually going to add value into your life. All the other stuff comes along with it. So it's hard to find good people, and you have to be very, very careful to vet through who makes the most sense where, because then you actually have a person that's worthy of doing great things, and then they get all of the other benefits. You get all of the other stuff that go with it. So you have to undersell it and make it more difficult to vet through to find out if a person actually is there for the right reasons and have the right work ethic. And there's certain things that you look for. And these are the things that I've learned and the lessons that I've learned, you know, hiring people and running certain businesses. And in corporate America, I took all of that experience and it helps me to be able to vet through. I don't need 1,000 resumes. I need the right people around me. The same way that you don't need every woman to want you. You don't need 1,000 women. You need the one that's going to add the most value and be a great mother to your children. And so it's very difficult to find people that are great for whatever it is that you're trying to do. The same way that it's hard for people to really get their minds wrapped around what it takes to be successful. I can't sell you on success. That's something that you're going to have to want for yourself. I can give you a blueprint, but I can't walk you through it. I tell people, hey, man, jump into the Patreon. I got people that are made millionaires. You see people say all the time, oh, they ain't going to do nothing. They just talking. And I'm cool with that because it allows for you to vet through the dusties so you can add value in the people that's really about that life. Said I'm giving too much game, oat milk. I do. But y'all got to start paying attention. It's a mindset shift that you have to have. Before we talk about strategy, before we talk about stocks, before we talk about this, you got to have a mindset shift. You got to actually be willing to do the work. You can join a Patreon all you want, but if you don't watch no videos, if you don't participate in the live streams, you're not going to get no value from it. And it is still a crapshoot. The same way that it's still a crapshoot for you to find the right person that's going to bust it down for a real one, Eric. I agree with you. But that's why we do the best that we can in vetting the right people. I send it through different people. I have one person vet through and go through and filter it through, and then I send it through another set of people to vet through and filter it through. And by the time it gets to me, I'll be able to pick and choose and say, you know what? Let me look at this person. Let me look at this person. And then I start to use my instincts to pay attention to what's really going on. But, yep, that's how I do it. That's what we do.